We're sitting at the asymmetric house and we're putting Gutex up on this wall. Now, we are not sponsored by Gutex, and nor have we ever been sponsored by Gutex, but I actually really like this material. This is an exterior insulation made out of wood, or specifically shredded wood. And this material is strong enough to support my weight. It's also strong enough to support the siding that goes on this house. But how does it do when we take it to fire? You want to see if we can burn some of this stuff? Let's take a look. There's probably those of you who are thinking that I'm insane for putting a bunch of wood fiber on the outside of my building in fire country. Well, if this was normal wood fiber, I would probably agree with you, but this is not normal wood fiber, and we're not just putting it on the outside where it can start on fire, like wood shingles on the roof and wood shingles on the walls, and that happens all over this place. This is special wood fiber, and we're actually paying attention to the details, which is really, really important. So, for instance, if this was our roof, and this is the structural framing of our roof, these would be the rafters. And then I'm going to take some plywood, and I'm going to take the plywood, I'm going to put that over the top of these rafters like this, right? So now I have my structural framing, I have my wood deck for my rafters, and then I'm going to take this adhero membrane. Now, this is a peel and stick membrane, which means that I can peel this off and stick it to this. I'm not going to do that right now for the sake of this argument, but we're going to put that right here. So now that's my airtight envelope. And when this peel and stick is down here attached to this, it's going to allow any fasteners to go in here, and it's going to seal and air seal those fasteners, okay? Then we take this Gutex, this wood fiber insulation. There's an American product named Timber HP that has very similar properties and is made of the same exact material. Now that sits on top. So now we have this insulated envelope. This is normally filled with insulation. We have our Gutex on top of our adhero, on top of our plywood. Then we're going to take another layer of plywood and put it on top of that. That is going to not only give this whole roof assembly a nice stable base for our metal roofing, but it's going to protect this Gutex from insects or anything else. Now we take our high temperature waterproofing and air barrier on top of the plywood, and then we take our metal roofing on top of that. And this is the assembly that we're going to have that's going to protect our house. Our house is down here. This cavity is filled with insulation. This cavity is filled with insulation. And now, to test, to make sure everything is good, we have our torch. This, while you can't see it, I'm not going to hold my hand in there. You can't see it, but that's a flame. And that flame is going to sit on this. So if we have a fire, and we have that fire and it's going to be cooking our roof over and over and over again, and we're going to burn it, we're going to start melting the metal roofing, taking all the finish off of that metal roofing, and you could see it start to smoke down here, right? But we're literally having to melt our metal roofing right here. And we could hold it here for quite a while. It's going to take a long time for our metal roofing to melt. Now, if we take away the flame, it smolders. But if we pull apart the metal roofing and put it over here, we haven't even touched our paper underneath our metal roofing, and the plywood is barely warm and has no sign of damage at all, despite the fact that the roof looks like that. That's a metal roof. You could see it's charred the backside of that roofing material, but it hasn't done anything to the plywood or to the Gutex underneath. Now, if we didn't have that metal roofing and didn't have this paper right here, what would it do to the plywood, or more likely, what would it do to the Gutex? Well, we know that plywood is like paper, and plywood can burn. And if we have our paper here, we see it burns just fine, right? And if we have our plywood right here, we can fairly easily catch that on fire. That's the nature of all wood-based building, right? And as long as we have that flame there, our wood will char, but it will self-extinguish. But what happens if we didn't even have the plywood up here? What happens if we just had the Gutex? Will that burn? Well, let's see. So as long as we hold the torch to it, it burns. But what happens when we take the torch away? Now imagine, we still have our metal, fire paper, our plywood, and then our Gutex. Is this going to stay and continue to burn, or is it going to self-extinguish when we take the fire away? Almost instantly it self-extinguishes, right? This is what happens. We're not taking a bunch of wood pulp and putting it on the outsides of our houses. We're taking a material that is specifically designed to be fireproof and termite proof and bug proof and self-extinguish. And if I was to take a stick and poke that, you see that I've taken some of the char off the top of it, right? So you see that I have this char on top of it. And if I scrape that off with the edge of the torch, you can see that all we've done is char the outside of the Gutex. And we can find out that even after we've scraped the end of the torch against the Gutex and filled it with debris, once we clean this out again, we can light the Gutex on fire again. And it's gonna burn as long as a flame is held to it. But as soon as we take the flame off, it self-extinguishes. I feel really good about this product. We're actually using this many layers under the rest of the materials that are also fireproof. And remember, this roof doesn't have venting. This roof will not light on fire in a normal fire because there's no way for fire to get into it. In order for fire to get into this, we would have to take this whole assembly, put it back here, and then hold this until we literally burned through the metal. I'm not staying here that long. While I'm sitting here trying to burn this piece of metal to where I can get down into the Gutex, maybe you can watch some of our other videos and find out how we build a better way. And if you like it, hit subscribe as we show you how to build a better way.